Welcome to ZAMBITION, the channel on which we engage in dialogue with leaders from across sectors and generations. For ZAMBITION, the term leader does not only refer to those in high-ranking positions. It includes everyone who is seeking to make a difference in society. Greetings and welcome to ZAMBITION. My name is Martin Kalungbanda, your host on this channel. Our guest today is someone whose courage I deeply admire, whose work is slightly out of the ordinary. Her name is Mrs Mary Tshuma. She is the current Board Secretary and Director General for the Financial Intelligence Center. Ms. Tshuma has over 20 years of experience in the financial analysis and investigations and intelligence gathering. Previously, Ms. Tshuma served as Senior Assistant Commissioner and Head of the Anti-Money Laundering investigations in the Drug Enforcement Commission. Ms. Tshuma was in 2019 given the Courageous Leadership Award by the Nudge Global Impact. She describes herself as a child of God and a mother. May I also mention that Ms. Tshuma is appearing on ZAMBITION in her capacity as a citizen who happens to have such an important role as leading the Financial Intelligence Center. Mrs. Tshuma, welcome to ZAMBITION.
Thank you so much.
Mrs. Tshuma, my initial question is around an image, maybe an object that best reflects the journey you have walked this far. What might that be?
Well, thank you, Martin, for that question. So many things can describe me, but let me say a beaver describes me the best in terms of personality and who I am inside out. I think if you look at the characteristics of a beaver, you will really, those who know me, will appreciate that I suit into that category.
Tell us some of the characteristics that you see in the beaver that sort of apply to who you are.
I'm a disciplinarian, a focused person, but soft at heart, one who puts herself in other person's shoes. And I think it resonates well with my biblical beliefs because I believe that we need to do unto others what would love be done to us. And so if you look at the characteristics of a beaver, really where relationships are concerned, I'm a person who wants to ensure that everybody is smiling, everybody is happy, and everybody gets what they deserve. So really, I think throughout my life, I'm surrounded by that kind of characteristic.
And what is the journey you have walked to do the things that you are doing now? And maybe you may share about 2 to 3 moments that have defined the Mary that I have the fortune of being in dialogue with at this point in time.
Well, thank you so much. I come from a humble background. Um, I'm from a family of five. My father was a lawyer by profession, and my mother was a secretary. But my parents left me at a very tender age. My dad died when I was only 11. Mom left when I was only 17. But one of the defining moments in my life that probably has earned me the characteristics of being sort of stubborn is the fact that when my dad died, I saw my mom getting so depressed for the 5 years that she lived after my father's death. And at that moment, maybe let me say that the life that my mother led was that of being 101% dependent on my father. She was working, but I think my father was a person that really provided everything. And so she didn't know how she was going to move forward with the departure of the husband. And for me, from that moment, I told myself I needed to work hard to an extent that I'm not only self-reliant, but I'm also able to extend a hand to those that can't manage. So that was, I think, the first defining moment. Those who are Christians would say that maybe I uttered words actually that may not sit well in the Christian world. I remember telling myself, I'll never depend on a man to survive, you know, because of what the kind of depression my mother went through. But I realized as I grew up that friendship in terms of marriage or relationship with a partner is not all about what they can provide. It's about what you are both bringing to the table. So that's my first defining moment.
Any other defining moments?
Well, I can say that with that, I think it gave me the impetus to work hard. And when I got my first job was with Drug Enforcement Commission, I can tell you that I'm one person that can work at anything to ensure that my family feeds. And therefore, when I started work with Drug Enforcement Commission, I started from being a police constable who was standing by the gate to open gates, the gate for the bosses, you would call it, the commissioners, and those senior officials that were driving at the moment. So I worked at the gate of Drug Enforcement Commission. At that time, I already had a diploma in accounts, but I had to get a job to feed my own sisters and my young brother, whom my mother had left. And so I grew up through the ranks. I took myself to school to do financial management and to do a master's in business administration, because I always looked at what would make my life better. In as much as I got married to a friend of mine who later passed on after 18 years of marriage, I always had this thing that I had to work hard. And even the team that I was working with at DEC, it's a team that I brought to work as a family, as a team. But my second defining moment, I'll tell you, was the time that I made up my mind to leave DEC to go to another institution. And that was the time I moved from DEC to the Financial Intelligence Center. I was the first Director General there. This institution had only an act of parliament in place. So I had to put systems in place. I had to work with the board that had been appointed to bring the right caliber of officers into the offices. I had to create a vision that officers would look up to. So to me, that challenge of ensuring that an institution starts from the scratch to where it is now, that it is internationally recognized, an institution that is part of the Egmont Group. Those who would understand what the Egmont Group will realize the level at which this institution has reached within a space of 5 to 6 years. So it was really a defining moment for me that I had to work towards to achieve this goal. But that also sits with the image of a beaver. You know, you want to finish what you start. Maybe the last one that I would say is after losing my first husband, the decision of remarriage was another issue that has eventually brought me 2 girls, twins, who are 6 months old now, and I love them so much.
What a story. Agreeing to a job, even when you were holding a diploma in accounting, to stand by the door, by the gates to the offices and open those gates so that the seniors could pass. What made you see yourself beyond opening of the gate?
Well, there's a saying that you can't have in your hands what you have not seen with your eyes. So your mind first. Let me start with the 7 habits of highly effective people. One of those habits is that you begin with the end in mind. So you must see where you are going before you even reach there. If you cannot visualize, then you will not start your journey. So even as I was standing by that gate, I would see that one day I will be one of the great leaders of this nation. At that moment, I would see myself as a commissioner in that particular institution. In as much as God, in his own wisdom, has a path for me, but I have to visualize it by faith that this is how far I'll get. I have to be a leader, not only in my home, but even from that gate, I would see that one day I would drive these cars. I was walking at that time. I used to be one of the first officers at the office, but I was walking from Chilenge, those who know Chilenge, to Long Acres. I was actually going to work by foot, but I would be the first worker there because I knew where I was going. So it's about having a vision.
Thank you for inspiring us. Thank you for inspiring particularly the young ones. And now, being the first Director General of the Financial Intelligence Center, I know this conversation is about you as a person, the journeys you have walked and your vision for Zambia. But I would like to know, what does the Financial Intelligence Center do?
Thank you so much. The Financial Intelligence Center is an institution, in fact, the only institution that is mandated to receive, analyze, and disseminate financial information that comes from reporting entities. To make it easy for you, I would say it's a buffer between the reporting entities and the law enforcement agencies. So we do the work in between of analyzing any suspicious transaction, any transaction that, for instance, the banking sector may feel as suspicious. And I can take a whole day in trying to train people on financial fraud or financial crimes. But to just say a little bit about suspicious transactions, these are transactions that are out of the normal character of a particular account. So if my account usually receives $100 and all of a sudden it has received $500, that's suspicious. So we need to verify where these funds are coming from. So the banking sector will report that transaction to the Financial Intelligence Center, who will analyze the transaction, see whether this particular person who has received that money is worth of that particular amount. If not, then we refer that particular case, depending on what value we have added, what we have found, is it related to tax evasion? Is it related to corruption? Then we disseminate it to the law enforcement agencies, either Drug Enforcement, SEC, or the Zambia Revenue Authority.
Thank you. Mrs. Tshuma, the job you have described is at the heart of what can build or destroy an economy, maybe even destroy a nation. It's a job that asks for something slightly more than other jobs do. Where do you get the courage to do this job from?
Courage and strength comes from God. I think one sentence in which I can describe myself is that I'm a child of God, and therefore I'm 101% dependent on God. And with that, it gives me the confidence and the courage to do that which has been assigned to me. All authority comes from above. So I believe that even the work that I'm doing now is not of a human being. Human beings could have been used to interview me and to employ me, but they were basically just vessels and tools in the hands of God. And so I take that this assignment that God has given me, He has enabled me. He has put a hedge of protection around me. So I will do the right thing regardless of what.
What courage. Thank you. Mrs. Tshuma, we will take a break. And when we return, I will ask you what your ZAMBITION is, what your highest aspiration for the country might be.
Impact Hub Lusaka, a member of the Global Impact Hub Network, is transforming the way we learn and solve personal, organizational, and societal challenges. We do this in 3 key ways. We bring together entrepreneurs and the resources needed to activate and actualize intentions. Our process for learning enables entrepreneurs and organizations to activate their capacity for creativity and innovation. But most importantly, our physical space brings together emerging and aspiring entrepreneurs to learn together and share lessons on how to activate and transform their dreams into reality. As our name suggests, Impact Hub Lusaka, helping organizations and individuals to create impact.
Mrs. Tshuma, welcome back.
Thank you.
What is your ZAMBITION? What is your highest aspiration for our country? I am asking this question bearing in mind that you have shared about your 6-month-old twins. What is the Zambia you would like the children to those twins to grow up in?
I think the same aspiration that our forefathers, the freedom fighters, had in the beginning is what I hope that Zambia will attain at one point. And this is economic liberation. We can have the freedom to move around. We can have the freedom to talk. But if we are unable to feed our families, our children, we are unable to take them to school, we are unable to give them the best medical attention that each child requires, then really we are as good as being slaves. So I'm hoping to see an economically liberated Zambia. And I believe that even the work that we are doing professionally is leading us to that, because we want to see a stable financial system that will ensure that everybody eats from the cake, not only few people benefiting from the, whatever Zambia is able to give. Let every Zambian be able to get it. I'll tell you, Martin, that at one time I was privileged when I was still at Drug Enforcement Commission to be sent to China for a 1-month training. And the concept I found there was that of, I may not remember the one word that they use for it, but I can describe it, where they want to lift every citizen to come to a certain level. And that's really what I hope to see. I hope for Zambia to have a situation where the gap between the rich and the poor is literally almost not there. We cannot have it completely eradicated, but let's ensure that everybody has the minimum that they need. I'm hoping to see that.
Wow. And thank you for that detailed description of the Zambia you would want to see. And you use very strong words, such as, we are still in slavery if we cannot send every child to school, if we cannot enable everyone to access quality healthcare.
Exactly.
What will it take, Mrs. Tshuma, for us to attain the Zambia you have described so well?
A mindset change, I will tell you, Martin. We have half the population who are selfish and not thinking about other people. And this is what leads to corruption, because people are thinking about themselves and their own children. They are not thinking about the children that we find by the road when we are driving to work, and they are soaked. I cannot help every child. But at the end of the day, through the work that I do, if we bring the Zambia that we are looking for to that level, all those children that we bypass on the streets will at least have a school near them, have a hospital near them, that they'll benefit. They don't have to walk 3 hours to go and learn for 1 hour. It doesn't make sense. Would I want my children to be in those shoes? No, I wouldn't. So it will take a mindset change, people to be able to think about others, to remove the selfishness that is there. We have leaders, good leaders. We have selfish leaders at the same time. So if we can bring the selfishness into the goodness, probably we can have an equilibrium that will try to bring Zambia up to where it's supposed to be. But people are really thinking about, how many flats will I have? Not whether the child of my own maid goes to school. The selfishness, Martin, has to come out. And it takes us changing the minds of people. And it will take people like you, Martin, bringing out these issues, us talking to the people, because it is just by the renewing, even the Bible talks about the renewing of the mind. If the mindset is renewed to be thinking about others, we embrace love for my neighbor. There are only 2 things that God said in the New Testament: love God and love your neighbor. If you love your neighbor, you like yourself. What I want for myself is what I want for you. Therefore, I will do unto you what I want to be done to me. I don't want my children to go to school without shoes. I shouldn't want the same for my maid. So really, that is what I think needs to be done, mindset change.
Mindset and renewal of the mind, as you said. Mindset change, renewal of mind. Thank you. Mrs. Tshuma, I have had the opportunity to work for people of power, both at State House in Zambia and many other similar offices across the African continent. I have seen how people shrink and the stories of truth they hold change when they are in the presence of power. when they are facing men or women of power. Your job is that of constantly speaking truth to power. How well do you think you are doing this? And what is it that allows you to speak truth to power?
As much as we don't like patting ourselves on the back, but truth is truth. I cannot deviate from the truth. Therefore, my job, I take it as simple because it merely requires me to present facts, and facts do not lie. So it's very easy for me to face any office as long as I have facts. I don't have to fabricate stories. What is in black is in black, what is in white is in white. If a certain law or instrument has been abrogated, I need to state the fact as it is. So with what I mentioned earlier, that I believe this is an assignment that I have from God, I do it to the best of my ability. I respect leadership. And in respecting leadership, I should not tell them something is red when it is black. My responsibility to help the leadership in making the right decisions is to tell them things as they are. Where things have gone wrong, I need to point it out. Where things are done right, I need to point them out. Remember that I'm heading one of government institutions. And therefore, we are an institution of good governance to help the leadership that are above us make the right decisions by us giving them the right information. Yes, certain people might not like what we put across to them, but our duty is not to look at whether they will like it or not. Our duty is to put the things as they are. It's like what I tell my own officers. I'm not looking for yes sirs in my institution. I'm looking for officers that are objective, officers that will give me as it is, so that the decision that I make at the end of the day is that which will help the institution go forward. So I get the courage from the fact that I give authentic information to the rightful offices.
I love the fact that you are saying you are not looking for staff who are eager to say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. You are looking for people who are eager to tell the truth as their professionalism is guiding them. I have to tell you this, when, again, I had the opportunity to work at State House, the most common word I ever heard or sentence I ever heard was, Your Excellency, my colleague just took words out of my mouth. I was going to, and then the congratulations would come thereafter. And yet that is not helpful for people in leadership. I just hope that your staff hear you on your plea that you are not looking for yes, ma'am, and yes, sir.
I'm sure they know. This is something that even in our assessments, our appraisals, I do tell them, even when we are employing, apart from praying that God help me get the right person, God gives you wisdom now to look at the attributes of who will come in the institution, to just say, because she's the one who renews my contract, therefore I need to do what she does. And you are killing me. You're not helping me. So I need people that are going to help the country. Don't look at me, look at the country. That should be our final objective at the end of the day.
So God will lead
better this country, to better the country.
So you're saying God will lead people to you, but in the end, you have to use a certain criteria to pick the right people among those that have been sent in your direction.
Exactly.
My final question, Mrs. Tshuma. what is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
From my father at a very tender age. Do the right thing no matter what. I think from the time I was 10 maybe or 9, I have lived with that. Whether whatever it is has consequences, do the right thing.
Mrs. Tshuma.
That was the best advice.
Yeah. Mrs. Tshuma, it has been awesome learning from you, but also listening to the clarity of the Zambia you want your twins' children to grow up in and work in. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the courageous work you are doing. It is at the core of the survival, not just of our economy, but our country as a whole. May God bless you and give you even more courage.
Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you. And may God bless you too. And may you continue to do the good work that you're doing. I know that Zambia will get there one day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Having listened to the dialogue and followed my conversation with our guest, I now invite you to look at the drawing that emerged out of that dialogue. Take time to see the contours, the colors, the images that are reflected on the painting, on the drawing. And pay attention to what the drawing evokes in you. What are the feelings? What are the thoughts that are ignited by you looking at the painting? What thoughts does the painting generate in you with regard to your own leadership? What thoughts, feelings, and images does this painting evoke in you with regard to the future of our country? What else does this painting make you think and feel? Kindly share your reflections on this channel so that we can continue the dialogue on the future of the country we all love, on the future of our nation.